the essence of this part of the reading, this part of the book, I feel like is encapsulated in the line that reads, "Everywhere you turn, hierarchies are being challenged from below or are transforming themselves from top-down structures into more horizontal and collaborative ones." What that means is that the way that the media, that communication technology is expanding and changing is flattening out the power structures in the world. One small example is President Obama's, or the Obama administration's part of the White House website, where you can start petitions straight on the White House's website, and if you get enough people to sign the petition, you can have the White House itself comment on the issue. In the past, people would have had difficulty actually contacting the president or any member of the executive branch. In the old days of Abraham Lincoln, people would actually visit on a personal basis, but living in the people who would come from the frontier, that would take a long time, and very few people were able to make that journey. And of course, the president was never able to visit with everybody. Now, even we out here in Hawaii, I have this method of bringing up issues with the president himself. I have a way of influencing the president's policies personally, even though I'm 5,000–6,000 miles away from the White House and have no government power myself. Another example is how the internet, how mass media is affecting totalitarian governments' power to oppress their people. Totalitarian people like Muammar Gaddafi, Bashar al-Assad, they don't have as much freedom to kill or harm or suppress their people or oppress their people as they used to, because everybody knows about it now. It hits the news within minutes, because people have cell phone cameras, people have ways of keeping them in check. The United Nations and even just public opinion means that they can't hide those things. So it still happens, but it's much more rare, and they have to try and do it secretly. So the people there have more power there, and it's not perfectly flat yet, but it's moving in that direction. He spent a lot of time talking about the flattening effect that's caused by outsourcing. The author of Runaway World, which you read before, would argue that outsourcing is sort of reinforcing the global hegemonic structure. But the author of The World is Flat would say that we're sort of throwing these people a bone. If these people have the right, if they're prepared for it, countries like India have jobs available to them now that allow them to take the grunt work from accounting firms and customer support from many major technology companies. That allows the people there to have experience in these fields, gives them sort of a stepping stone towards getting into more involved stages in the industry, like software development, manufacturing, the things that we handle. It benefits us, on the other hand, because when they just send the grunt work to India and other such places, so accountants and other such professionals in the States and the developed world have more freedom to pursue work that's more fulfilling to them, which might not seem reasonable, but when you think about it, I think of the example of Albert Einstein. Einstein had his ambition was to be a university professor, and he didn't get the job he was looking for. Instead, he got a job at a patent office, which gave him the money he needed, but it wasn't the job that he wanted. It wasn't something that would fill his time the way he wanted, but it gave him a lot of free time, and during that free time, he studied physics and spent a lot of time thinking. And it's been said that if he didn't get that job, we would never have heard of him, because he would have never come up with his famous theories of relativity and photons and all that. So the professionals in the United States, the author would argue, are able to innovate more because they don't have to spend all their time doing this grunt work. And people in India are benefited because they get training and experience they wouldn't otherwise get. And as a whole, the economy of these countries progresses so that within a few years they can start taking over the jobs that are being done by the Americans, and they'll be able to be fully self-sufficient, and at the same point we are. So the world is flat. Author sees it as win-win. Not perfectly flat world yet, but flattening and moving in that direction.